growth. Do you think that India is on the right track and perhaps is a relatively compelling story versus the rest?
Hi, Tanvir. Good morning. Certainly, India's numbers that came out, the GDP numbers, does show that the economy started the year 2023 on a very strong note. Growth came in much faster or much higher than what market consensus was, and there were several pockets of upside surprises. I think including manufacturing, construction, as well as farm output to begin with. And if you see on the expenditure side, you had seen actually investment growth, that's fixed capital investment growth, also a fair better. So I think all of these, segments are showing us that there is sufficient momentum on the ground, and I think that some of the high frequency prints were already picking that up ahead of the data release. And this starting of the year, in fact, if you look across the region, there's been a divergence in terms of growth numbers. The economies that are heavily dependent on trade, for example, are losing momentum. I mean, anything from commodities to electronics, while economies that are much more, again, back to the organic drivers, back to domestic demand, are faring better. So I think that will hold India in good stead, when you go through the course of this year. But I think it might not, you would be plus and minus because there are also, headwinds as well as tailwinds that the economy faces, but surely a very strong start to the year.
Right. If you can bring up the rupee chart year to date, why is the rupee not reflecting the growth optimism in India?
The rupee certainly functions a bit differently, essentially because what we have seen, the tendency for the currency, and is that the policymakers have been very keen on keeping the rupee on a stable keel, to keep volatility low, keep it more range bound, and look at what's happening globally. So instances where you see the dollar actually appreciate, you would see dollar rupee as well follow suit. But then it's not a one-way street. It does meet, intervention attempts at crucial levels. And off late, because of the US debt ceiling uncertainty, many of the Asian currencies had depreciated. Even rupee followed suit, but again, it was a very limited and a contained scale of depreciation. I think that kind of momentum is going to continue. The central bank is extremely keen on rebuilding reserves. It's already 100 billion up from where we were at the start of the pandemic, and I do think that they'll look at building that further. So that's why you see rupee kind of diverging from the very strong positive growth story.